In a moment that will be remembered as one of the most striking podium celebrations of recent MotoGP history, Marc Marquez borrowed inspiration from football legend Lionel Messi after storming to victory at the San Marino Grand Prix in Misano. The Ducati star, who claimed his 11th win of the 2025 season, stood on the podium with his racing suit in hand, lifting it toward the crowd in an unmistakable imitation of Messi's iconic celebration at the Santiago Bernabeu in 2017. For Marquez, the act was more than a tribute. It was a message, one shaped by years of tension with Italian fans and fueled by what unfolded on social media the night before the race.
Welcome to GP Time. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates.
On Saturday, Marquez had started from pole in the sprint race but crashed out in front of a raucous Misano crowd. Instead of sympathy, he was met with loud cheers, jeers, and even obscene gestures captured live on television. Adding more fuel, circulating footage appeared to show Valentino Rossi and his entourage celebrating the fall, a gesture that stung, given the bitter history between the two rivals. "I normally ignore that kind of behavior," Marquez admitted in an interview with DAZN. "But after the sprint, I looked at social media and you can't completely escape from it. I saw the comments and I thought, if I win tomorrow, I will answer in my own way." That answer came in the form of Messi's celebration. Defiant, iconic, and delivered with unmistakable intent. After his commanding race win on Sunday, Marquez explained the reasoning behind the gesture. "I've always said that Messi is a role model, both on and off the pitch," he said. "He's always there in difficult moments. He silences critics with class. He always behaves like a gentleman. It's impossible to imitate Messi, but yesterday night I felt the need to do something special. It was my little way of saying I'm here and I answer on the track." The scene also highlighted the ongoing divide in Italy regarding Marquez's presence in red. While Ducati executives were delighted with another win for their star signing, some fans in the Misano stands, especially Rossi loyalists, remained openly hostile. Ducati team boss Davide Tardozzi was visibly frustrated by the boos and jeers aimed at Marquez despite his success. "He is riding in Ducati red. He's giving everything for this brand, for this team. Fans should respect that," Tardozzi said. "When he wins, Ducati wins. That should be enough." It wasn't the first time this season Marquez faced hostility on Italian soil. At Mugello, after winning the sprint race, a section of the crowd also booed the Spaniard, behavior that angered the Bologna factory, who reminded supporters that Marquez is now part of their racing family. Marquez's strained relationship with Italian fans stems largely from his legendary feud with Valentino Rossi, which reached boiling point a decade ago and has never truly healed. For Rossi's loyal supporters, especially those filling the grandstands at Mugello and Misano, Marquez is still the villain, regardless of his achievements. The Messi-style celebration only added fuel to the fire, with some fans seeing it as a provocation. But for Marquez, it was less about antagonizing the crowd, and more about reclaiming the narrative. Marquez's 2025 campaign has been nothing short of remarkable, with his victory at Misano bringing him ever closer to yet another World Championship title. Yet beyond the points and trophies, Sunday's celebration will likely go down as a cultural moment in MotoGP, an intersection of sport, rivalry, and defiance. Much like Messi at the Bernabeu, Marquez at Misano reminded the world that legends answer not with words, but with performance. And in doing so, he once again proved that, whether loved or hated, he remains the heartbeat of MotoGP drama. On a golden Saturday afternoon at the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, a crowd of over 80,000 gathered to witness the high-octane drama of the San Marino Grand Prix sprint. Instead, they found themselves part of an episode that peeled back the glamorous veneer of MotoGP to reveal the raw wounds of its most divisive rivalry. The crash of Marc Marquez, Ducati's superstar and six-time MotoGP champion, was dramatic but harmless, his bike sliding out at the final corner while leading. Yet what followed was anything but routine. As Marquez picked himself up from the gravel, the grandstands erupted not in shock or silence, but in cheers, whistles, and celebratory roars, many of them coming from fans donning Valentino Rossi's iconic fluorescent yellow. Though Valentino Rossi has not competed in MotoGP since 2021, his presence at Misano remains as strong as ever. The circuit sits less than 20 kilometers from his hometown of Tavullia, and the sea of yellow flags and chants of "Veil, Veil," make it clear that the Doctor's empire still dominates the Adriatic coast. It was no surprise, then, that many interpreted the jeering of Marquez's crash as a symbolic defense of Rossi's legacy. But what stunned observers worldwide was the footage aired by DAZN Spain, which appeared to show Rossi and members of his entourage smiling after Marquez's fall. For Marquez's supporters, this was salt in the wound, sparking outrage across social media and reigniting debate over whether Rossi bears some responsibility for fanning the flames of division. The hostility didn't stop at jeers. According to eyewitness reports, a physical altercation broke out among spectators in one of the main grandstands. Between 6 to 8 individuals, split between Rossi loyalists and Marquez fans, clashed in a heated exchange that reportedly required intervention from security. While no serious injuries were reported, the scuffle underscored just how volatile the rivalry remains. Former rider-turned-commentator Stefan Bradl, speaking to Service TV, condemned the crowd's behavior. When Marc fell, the Italians celebrated. From a sports perspective, it's hard to accept. You can be passionate, you can support your hero, but celebrating someone's crash, that's not MotoGP, that's something else. The sight of fans exalting a rider's misfortune sent shockwaves across the sport. MotoGP prides itself on its community spirit and international camaraderie, but Misano showcased an uglier, tribal side of fandom. Perhaps the most contentious element of the weekend was Valentino Rossi's silence. As a 9-time world champion, global ambassador, and still one of the most influential figures in MotoGP, Rossi's words carry weight far beyond the track. Yet he has offered no public statement urging restraint or sportsmanship, despite mounting calls for him to step in. Former British MotoGP rider Scott Redding articulated what many in the paddock have whispered: Rossi doesn't need to congratulate Marquez, but he could say, let's turn the page. That alone would calm things down. Right now, his silence is louder than any words. The issue is not about Rossi taking Marquez's side, but about setting a tone for his massive fan base. By remaining silent, Rossi risks letting the hostility fester unchecked, leaving Marquez to absorb the hostility alone. The Misano saga highlights a fundamental truth about MotoGP. Rivalries may be thrilling, but they can also be corrosive. The Rossi-Marquez feud has shaped an entire era of the sport, but it has also left scars that still divide fans nearly 10 years later. For many, Rossi remains the greatest MotoGP icon of all time, and Marquez the rival who threatened his legacy. For others, Marquez is the generational talent whose brilliance has been unfairly vilified. That polarization fuels an intensity rarely seen in motorsport, but also threatens the values of respect and camaraderie that MotoGP prides itself on. Even Italian daily Corriere Romagna, which noted a more peaceful exchange of chants between Italian and Spanish fans after Sunday's race, acknowledged the stark difference in tone compared to Saturday's toxic atmosphere. As Marquez edges closer to another world championship, the pressure on Valentino Rossi to speak grows stronger. Whether he chooses to intervene or not, his influence on MotoGP's cultural fabric remains undeniable. A single statement urging fans to respect rivals could help cool tensions, but his continued silence risks letting the rivalry spiral into something uglier. For now, one truth remains: the past is not past. The 2015 Sepang clash continues to echo across every grandstand, where Rossi's yellow army gathers and Marquez rolls to the grid. Misano was not just a race, it was a reminder that MotoGP's greatest rivalry still burns fiercely, threatening to overshadow even the brilliance of what happens on track. And as Marquez, once booed and jeered, keeps answering with victories, the question lingers: will Rossi ever step in to end the war his shadow continues to fuel?